Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Robert Pagan Show. It is Saturday, and it has been a crazy week in just everything from pop culture to world politics to, of course, the American presidential race. And so let's just jump right into it. World Series, craziness, right? But not as crazy as the World Series of Elon Musk and the $1 million heist. What I'm talking about is Elon Musk buying the election for Trump? What do I mean by that? Have you guys been heard of the petition that you can sign if you're in a swing state and you're a registered voter for a chance to win $1 million a day? The DOJ has looked into this and has offered a warning to Elon about this. It might be federally illegal. That was an interesting part of the week. One of the biggest amazing parts of the week was the fun that was had throughout the week by celebrities coming out to endorse Kamala Harris. But the biggest one of all happened last night at a convention in Houston when Queen Bee herself, Beyoncé, came out and made a riveting speech. A speech that was preempted by a speech from Kelly Rowland that was just as good, and one that came from Tia herself. That's right, Beyoncé's mother. These three powerful black women set Houston afire with their honest truth. And Beyonce last night said she isn't here as a politician. She is not here as a celebrity. She's here as a mother. And I thought that that was one of the strongest statements that I've heard from a celebrity endorsement in the past 6 months. So it's lighten up with Bruce Springsteen also performing. Kamala was on the trail with Obama, and Willie Nelson made a great appearance in Houston yesterday. I love me some Willie Nelson. Now, on the other spectrum, Donald Trump is playing to smaller crowds than Kamala Harris, and with a message that is a lot more anger. Anger, anger, anger. I was watching his rally after watching Kamala's rally, and realistically, the differences could not be more drastic. In other news around the world, Israel attacked Iran last night in a retaliatory attack for the attack that Iran did on them. Now, the truth of it is just like President Biden, Kamala Harris, and most of us here in America are saying enough is enough. We are hoping that Iran will not fire back and that this will cool and prevail into maybe better talks, calming and stirring the pot a little bit. When I think about this situation, I'm saddened. There's just way too much violence and way too much death happening in a part of the world that really should be cherished. And so I hope with all my heart that soon we can come to some type of understanding. Now, President Trump, or by ex-President Trump, has been peddling his conspiracy theories that immigrants have been able to, illegal immigrants have been able to vote in our current election, with the federal government, all state electoral offices, and all city and county offices debunking this as just not truth. So remember, when you're listening to these candidates, you also have to self-verify. As much as I love Kamala, as much as I love any politician who's fighting for my rights, I also know that we're human, and humans have the tendency to embellish. The question is what Trump is doing embellishing at this point anymore? Or has it just become to a clinical obsession with lying. Trump's mental acuity has come into question with multiple performances over the last week that led to many feeling that he may be a little deranged, and actually may be having a huge mental downfall. I think that this comes from us seeing his anger with John Kelly and General John Kelly, retired General John Kelly, who came out and said that Trump is the biggest threat to America, that he is a fascist. The word fascist has been thrown around a lot this past week, including by Kamala Harris herself. Well, that has been oh wait, one more. For those of you who are Swifties out there, the Swiftie Night Blue sweatshirt or sweater cardigan came out on sale for only 2 days, completely sold out, and will be in time sent to your house for you to wear to the polls. A little nod from Taylor herself, telling everyone to get out and vote blue. So, that has been our opening segment and what has gone on this week. Now, this entire episode today, for the rest of our episode, is about the youth. We're talking about things that are great for our Gen Zers or great for anyone to understand this time and what our youth is going through. We have a great interview with Peter Fenton coming up right after our intro. And he has a great book, not normal, which is a queer YA novel made for queers by queers. So go ahead, a great interview. I always love talking to Peter. And after that, we have my reaction to Heartstopper and why it made me bawl, and why this first episode of this season truly reminded me what is at stake in this election. So again, thank you. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. This is the Robert Pagan Show. Every comment, every like, every share, and every subscription helps to spread the word and also just makes me happy. It helps me out. So thank you again, and I'll see you on the other side. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. And since you spent, the beginning of the show hearing me complain about everything that Mr. Donald Trump has done this past week and everything going on in America, we are going to go over to my friend Peter on Queer Voices segment, and he's in Canada, so he's in the land of la la and love right now, where I'll be heading on Wednesday the 2nd if Kamala is not. How are you doing?
I am doing very well, very well. Things are great. At least that's what I tell myself.
I try to tell myself that every day, and I'm keeping that in my mind. So, Peter's an author. Let's start with that. Peter's an author. Some of you who have followed my channels and my film festivals and my book festivals will know Peter's work. He has a great horror series that we've talked about on this show. Well, on the other show. This is the new show. But today we are actually here, and it's funny because it's an October episode, and we're not going to talk about a horror book. We're going to talk about something that I think is even more important. A coming-of-age queer novel that has just racked the world with honesty. Like I'm reading reviews. Everyone's saying that they can relate with the character. Everyone's saying that it's just the best way to to really encapsulate friendship and love and that coming of age and how to deal with divorce and just Peter, this book touches everything that I know every teenager either has a friend that is going through or has went through themselves. So, first, the book is called Not Normal. And let's start with the title. Where did you come up with the title, Peter?
There is the main character whose name is Jordan. Sorry, I get my books mixed up. His name's Jordan. 16 years old in high school, and he says to the young man that he has met in school that he's not normal. And Nathan, the other fellow, says, "No, you're not normal. You are interesting. You are," and he just goes on describing all the positives that Jordan is. So that's where the title actually comes from. That one section of the book.
I love it. A title within, as a filmmaker, he said the name of the title in the film. But I really like when people can pull from the text. It's a very old school author. It's a very old school author thing. You
That's
know,
me.
a lot of people don't do that anymore. Like sometimes the book will be named Raven, and I'll be like, there wasn't one Raven in the entire book, and the character wasn't even named Raven. Why is it called Raven? So I like when titles make sense, but I also love that as a mantra. You're not normal. And I think that in a day and age when, and it may be a little bit different in Canada, but I mean we're still North America. We're all
Exactly the same.
privileged. We're all privileged on this side of the world and above the equator. Um, but I really do think that in a world where we are all forced with the question of are you normal? Are you accepted? Are you, you know, are you what you're supposed to be? That phrase really helped me. And Peter sent me this book before it came out. So I was one of the lucky ones who got to read some excerpts before the book actually came out. But I was also laying in bed because my back was broken at that period of time. And I needed that mantra. I needed to know that, what you're going through isn't not normal. And, you are special. Yes, because you, and I think for me, like it was crazy because I'm an artist. I'm a filmmaker. I was literally about to make a movie 3 days before I broke my back, and like it hurt me. It laid me out, and just that not normal reminded me that maybe I needed to slow down, and reflect on how special I truly am inside. And that's what drew me to the book in general is
I
when you
love
told
it.
me about the title. So I really love that. I love that mantra, that ideology. Um, Now your other books, not why not what not youth young adult novels. They're
No, no,
not.
not at all. This is totally different than what I'm used to, than the audience I normally target with my books.
Yeah, well,
Um,
and different than what you're writing. So how was that?
well, and it was based on my very first novel, which was called The Woodcarver's Model. I was approached by a publisher up here in Canada, and the acquisitions editor asked me, "Would you be interested in writing a book for our series?" It's called Real Love, and what it does, it's designed. The books are written to normalize all the full spectrum of relationships that teenagers will face, from everything from gay, uh, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, trans, and so they've got all of us writers writing books to help kids realize that you're okay with who you are. You are beautiful the way you are. Don't change. And so I was really touched when I was approached for this. So that's why I wrote Not Normal. It is based a lot on my own personal experience. Um, both as a young man and still today fighting sort of emotional challenges. There are panic attacks written. Jordan does experience panic attacks. Those panic attacks are what I still experience today, where I just completely shut down. So it's a bit of a just getting it out of my system, making myself feel better, but it's also really to get out there and let young people know that they are beautiful just the way they are.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like the Trevor projects of books. Like, things will get better. Life is an experience. Um, Panic attacks are interesting to write into a book because it's like, how do you convey that emotion? How do you convey that as someone who's experienced panic attacks myself? How do you experience the feeling of almost dying? It's like I'm having a heart attack. I feel like it's the end of the world. Yes, everything shuts down. Um, and one of the things that I've noticed in today's society and all the studies and everything points to our children today have more anxiety than humans who were living in 1950s in general. Um, and so panic attacks have become almost a rite, a rite of passage in our society. And so what made you feel like that was such a because it is it's an important part to the character. The anxiety and the anxiousness is an important
Mm-hmm.
part of the character. So what made you want to connect that into being something that was a pillar to the character?
It is because the character is me, and I want because panic attack is the extreme of his of Jordan's anxiety, and I felt it was important to really get out there and show you, oh, to show a reader who might not be experienced with this, that if they know someone who suffers from anxiety disorder, and they do know that they actually have panic attacks. I want other readers to know what it's like, how much emotional trauma this character is going through, or who their real life friend might be going through when all of a sudden they have a breakdown like that. I think it's important that people see this and they understand what someone else is going through. It's all about building empathy, uh, and love of other people and what they're how they are different. We're not There's no two people on the planet are the same. Um, if they did, it would be an awfully dull and boring. So this is just it was just really it comes from also comes to the side of me that loves writing mystery novels. I want to amp up everything. And to me, that is one way of amping up the emotions that somebody can feel. And hopefully the reader can feel that to a certain extent with the character.
Yeah. Now Jordan is a character that I personally can relate to. I mean, he's a geek. He's sci-fi.
Okay.
He's like he he is the quintessential nerd. Like
Oh,
that is
he runs the school book club, for God's
like
sakes.
he's a quintessential nerd. He gets picked on. He gets bullied. Bullying is a theme, a thread of the book, and also a thread that you use to show what it can happen to someone and how it affects someone. But also you show the power of facing bullying and how that can connect people.
Mhm.
Um, Jordan is almost an unlikely stability for Nathan.
Oh,
When when you
yes.
when you look at a character that nerdy and that like not crazy, but that much going on, you don't expect them to be the rock for another character. That was a
Hmm.
that was a nice twist. You also don't really expect the nerd to be the rock to what would probably be the more popular character of Nathan. I would say like that would
Hmm.
be they would be almost the if we were in the world of Mean Girls, they would definitely be a part of the club, and Jordan would definitely be in the slam book. So I like so I think that like I like that irony, that almost 50 First Dates or that old rom com, that 90s rom com feel to it.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
when you're writing a book like this, that is, is going to be aimed for the youth novel, how is the balance? Because I mean, you don't want to make Bridgerton. You don't,
No.
you know what I'm saying, but you don't want to also deny the fact that, these teenagers have emotions and they have feelings and they have urges. So what was the balance between writing for youth love versus writing for maybe a college or a Bridgerton audience, or an audience that would read something that was a little bit more spicy?
Well, first, were certain rules that were laid down by the publisher. One was the size of the book. It's a novella. It also there were levels of language that I had to maintain. I couldn't go to highfalutin with the talk. Sentence structure. The sentences are slightly shorter. But at the same time, I didn't want to talk down to a kid like they're stupid. I've known kids. I've known young people in their mid-teens that were actually talking at a level that was actually their sense of humor was actually going over my head. So you can't base someone their abilities on age alone. So you just try to keep it simple. I think I've written it, and so like I know a lot of adults that have read the book, and they didn't find it talking down to an adult, but it is written for I say for younger readers. The publisher actually has an editorial team of young people that read the books for this series to make sure that they are well targeted. So it's just keeping the story simple. Yes, there is nothing beyond a kiss. We don't go above that. But and even the scene where there's the kiss, that is based on something that happened to me with the first man I was ever in love with. So I'll let you read the book and you'll see where it is. But it was just keeping it not too challenging emotionally as far as the romance goes, because it is a romantic novel about kids falling in love. But just as I say, I didn't want to push it in any one direction too far as the relationship goes. Or
I
frankly, the publisher would send it back to me and go rewrite this.
Yeah, it's interesting because like that is that's the difference between independent publishing and something that you're publishing from a publisher that has mandate.
Definitely. Right. I mean, let's face it, teenagers have sex. These kids in real life probably would have been having sex, but not in my book. And not the fact that I didn't have sex at that age either. So it's like,
Yeah, well, yeah, well, it's a balance. Like when I was writing my youth novel, my sci-fi youth novel, um, I do have a sex scene, but it was me and my husband argued about it a lot. And my thing was like, I felt that it happens, so why lie about it? Also,
mm-hmm.
my book is set in the future.
Get away with so much stuff.
And you get away with so much more when you say you're a different timeline, don't you? Yeah, Peter's book is actually based in reality. Like if you pick up this book, you'll see Gen Zers in it. You'll see these modern kids in it.
And
Um,
it also takes place in my neighborhood, so you get to see where I actually live in my neighborhood.
I didn't know that. That's kind of
Ah,
cool.
there.
That I do like a lot. I also just like when writers make sure that they're writing environments that they know. It's like here I go again. It's like when Dan Brown writes about a random church he's actually never set foot into, and he's trying to describe it, and you're like, I've actually been to that church, and that doesn't look like. So it's those things. So like I really do like the authenticity of those. Yeah, I just like the authenticity of it in general. Um, Now I'm not gonna lie, queer YA novels are like in trend right now. They're huge vibe right now, especially with shows like Heartstopper
Oh
and Young
yes.
Royals.
Yep.
Um,
be I'm an adult, but I read YA novels
They're my favorite.
they're
They're my
mine.
favorite.
Like, I'm a child who was raised on Harry Potter, so the youth novels are like perfect for me for my escapism, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what and why film is as well. And what I was going to say is there any maybe television shows or anything that you've been watching that kind of inspired you while writing this? Like maybe like was like, oh, I love this ideology. I like what this energy has, or
I wasn't inspired by anything particular, although I love Heartstopper. My partner and I watched the first season. I remember we watched together, clutching our knees to our chest, waiting for something horrible to happen, because that's what we assume is always going to happen. But while I was writing Not Normal, I was also writing a fairly bloodthirsty detective novel, and I had to keep balancing myself. So there was no actual softer sort of youth inspiration at that point. But as I say, my was just saying, my favorite novels are YA novels. There's a certain, the ones I read at least, there's a certain purity, there's a certain beauty to the writing. There's an elegance to the well-written ones that just can't be surpassed. They're not cluttered with too much violence, like Harry Potter, different. But the ones I really love are the ones that are just simpler stories, because I look outside my window and there's a lot of horrible stuff going on. And I try to escape into literature where things are maybe a little bit better, a little easier, a little safer.
Peter and I are totally different when it comes to that. Peter likes to escape. I like to throw everyone into it. My youth sci-fi novel is about a future where Trump does win this election and sets a world into dystopia, 300 years of the making. So and there's things called Trumplicans in my book. So yes, he likes to stir you away. I'm like, deal with it. Deal with it now. You can't
You're
escape it.
exactly learn. Oh,
Learn.
beautiful.
So Heartstopper, it was funny because you were saying that you and your husband were clutching, waiting for something bad to happen. I also was waiting for something bad to happen. I was like, one of these kids is going to die. One of them is going to get beat up. It's going to end
Yes.
at the season one of Queer as Folk. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but something bad is going to happen. And I think it's a great parallel between not only both of our generations compared to the generations that are now, um, and everyone stick around because after this interview, the next segment is actually about Heartstopper season 3, episode 1, and the parallels between that and what's going on here in America, and why the show made me just bawl and cry,
Oh,
and why I can't finish the rest of the show. I cannot finish the rest of the season because of episode 1, until after the election. But I think that our generations, we very rarely got that true happy queer love story because we fought so much prejudice, and and even like I'm 36 years old, and people don't realize that when I was in high school, gay bashing was still a huge thing. They think that, oh, after 99, everything was glorious and there was, gay marriage was everywhere. And they really don't realize the trauma and the intenseness that it was to be a gay or a queer human in that time. So that first season of Heartstopper almost was traumatic for me because I felt like they were lying to the world. I was like, how can you be queer and not have something horrible? This doesn't exist. And I almost felt like it was a lie. And then I talked to some Gen Zers and I realized you and me and the ones that came before us really did create a world where that is a reality for some kids.
It is.
Heartstoppers, it's a reality. Your book is a reality, and it warms my heart. So how was it like writing for this generation where that is a reality, where we just didn't have that?
It was so it brought so much hope into my heart to work on this, because in my previous incarnation, when I was working full time, I would see children getting off, young kids getting off school buses to come in. Used to work at a large museum, and so kids would get off the school bus, and the number of times I saw like two young boys getting off the bus holding hands, and I almost wept. But literally at the same time, in a city west in Canada, Calgary, where I was having a play of mine produced. It was a musical I'd written with my partner. We're in rehearsals, and we were walking home. We were staying at his parents' place, my partner's parents' place. We got off the bus, and we just naturally hold hands when we walk. And I heard someone running up behind me, and I thought, okay, this is it. Gonna get clubbed. Something bad's gonna happen. And this little body came running around in front and stopped on the sidewalk in front of us and stopped us. And he just stood there for a few moments watching us. And he said, "Are you two a couple?" I said, "Yes." And I joked my partner, said, because I said afterwards, "Yeah, I bet I could have taken the kid if he was going to cause trouble. I could get him." But and he just opened up to us, two total strangers, about how he was gay. He had fallen for this kid in school, didn't know what to do, had absolutely no one to talk to, no one at school, no counselors, nothing. And the thing that blew me away was the courage this young boy had exhibited by doing this. And at the same time, I realized it's not the same all over. There are still large pockets where young gay people are isolated and afraid because they don't know what to do. Their role models are on television, some of which are not necessarily realistic, or some are depicting young gay people that are lucky enough to be living in an area where they are accepted, where they can walk hand in hand and not be beaten up or verbally abused. So there's still a long way to go, but we have taken steps in the right direction. And to write about that, that made me feel so good, and so it made me feel so incredibly free. I was living the triumphs of my characters in my heart.
Yeah, I love that. You see, I'm crying, Peter.
Oh, same here, same here.
This is a normal thing for Robert and Peter. We talk to each other and we cry.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I also think that that experience that you had with the kid in Calgary, it speaks so much to visibility and the ability that these kids and these generations, at least for the next week and a half here in America, have visibility of queer people that I just never ever had.
Oh no, no. They were always either the damaged one in the movie that turns out to be the killer, or the one that is killed because they're gay. That's what we had to live with. That was our representation in film and television.
Yeah, yeah. And then I grew up in the queer as folk era, so it was a lot of drugs. They were just drug addicts, and they they weren't monogamous, and they had these. So like,
well, and the first the original American Queer as Folk was actually shot not far from where I live. So we still go to the same bar.
Babylon.
That was no. This was Woody's.
Oh,
this
okay.
wasn't the new Queer. This is the older Queer as Folk, and so every time I go down there, I'm reliving that television series.
It's funny, Woody's. I went there once. I went to that bar once on my.
Oh.
I think I was in my early 20s. But yeah,
I used to live a block away from it then.
Crazy. Yes, the show was set in America, filmed in Canada. That happens a lot, people. It does. It's just cheaper. It's cheaper and more fun.
Totally cheaper.
More fun to film in Canada. And when you're a queer show, you don't get the budget to film in Hollywood. All the truths, all the simplicities, right? So before we leave today, I want you to give me 3 reasons why you think that not normal should be a staple inside the youth home or on the library shelves in the teen world. I cannot promise that here in America we'll put them on the shelves because we have a thing called book banning now. But I will make sure that people hear about the books. But what are the 3 quintessential reasons you think that a teenager should read this book?
It will make them understand the people around them, that the other students that are surrounding them that might not be as lucky as they are. It will show them that love is possible for everyone, even though you see yourself as being an outsider. And it will let you know that no matter who you are, what you are, and how you might see yourself, you are normal and you are loved. And you are worthy of love.
I love that.
And I did that without too many tears.
You did that without too many tears. So you said you love YA novels. Give me 3
Yes.
of favorites.
The Book of Boy. Amazing. Love that. Wolf Hollow is wonderful. Another one. I got 2. They're the ones that immediately come to mind.
I have not read Wolf Hollow yet. I have.
Wolf Hollow. It's by Lauren Wolk. She's an amazing writer. The Book of Boy is by Catherine Gilbert Murdoch, and it is just gorgeous. It is so imaginative. It's beautiful. So, and the other one, actually, one of them is an amazing story. The Magician's Elephant. Is probably the best, and it's also been made into a stage production by the National Theatre in the UK.
I was going to say, yeah.
The Magician's Elephant, phenomenal story, so full of incredible imagination.
Awesome.
And wonderful characters.
Once you're done reading Not Normal, check out those 3 books if you haven't read them. You will find links for Not Normal in my description. In America, it is back ordered on Amazon for hard copies.
It will actually be officially released in the US. We were unaware of this. Officially released in the US on January 1st.
Yes. So if you want to get a hard copy on Amazon from there, you can get that. But you can also order a hard copy off of Borders. So I am giving you a link to Borders and to Amazon in the description underneath. You can also get it in Kindle on Amazon as well. It's $9.99 right now on Amazon Kindle. I am a tactical person. I like to have copies. So even when I got the beautiful PDF of your book, I printed it out so I could fill the pages. So I cannot wait for my hard copy to come in the mail in January. But grab them from the links there. I'll also put the Canadian link in there because sometimes us Americans can sneak around and order from there, and they will ship them to us. Amazon.
Beautiful.
Set that I said that. But anyway, Peter, thank you so much for coming on and being my second guest on episode 2 of the Robert Pagan Show. For all of you, you're going to have a brief commercial about my upcoming project. Enjoy that. And then the next segment is about Heartstoppers and why, if we do not vote for Kamala, shows like Heartstoppers and queer people will not exist in the United States any longer. So make sure that you watch that. Thank you so much, Peter. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Your music taste is all over the place. You got Zapp and Roger, Scissor Sisters, Pink Floyd, Santana, Pat Benatar, Panic at the Disco.
That's because Brendan Urie's hot as fuck.
Tammy Wynette?
RDIVORCE becomes final today. Never heard of Tammy Wynette. Her and Pat Benatar are pretty much my secret obsession. Probably from my mom playing Hell is for Children in the car all the time.
Did you just get this from the bathroom?
I wish we had video phones in our TVs like that. You wouldn't have to imagine. I don't know. What were you expecting this to be like?
I mean, I imagined a castle of beer bottles, a bomb, and maybe some books and papers all over the floor.
Who thought that I was a dirty artist who lived in a squalor of booze and cigarettes? No, then, what did we learn the night we met about assumptions?
Look, I'm sorry. I
No.
didn't mean to assume.
I do need you to get the fuck out though.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You just pissed me off. Get out of my house. Yeah. I'm kidding. Oh my god.
Hi everyone, so I just got done watching Heartstopper, the first episode of the newest season. And there's things I love about the show, there's things that I hate about the show, there's, it is one of those things. However, as a filmmaker and as a queer human, there are a few things that really touched me just a lot about the entire show, but also just in where we are in today's society and what my fears are. And I think that one of the amazing things about Heartstopper is it is a British show, but it could have never gotten on television or be created or have the love and the acceptance if it wasn't for the decades of American activism in the queer sphere and the way that we have been able to be a beacon to the world. And then I started to cry. And I started to cry because as, an adult, I'm 36 years old, I've experienced a lot of homophobia and racism through my life and just all those things. But I've also seen our country and our citizens and our minds and everything grow. And I started to cry because it really hit me that in less than 2 weeks, the potential of us losing all of that and going back 70 years, going back to a time where queer kids and humans couldn't be themselves and they had to hide. And it's daunting and it's scary and it's really sad. I really wish that we were still that beacon. And I think we can be. And I have the hope we can be. And the reason why is because with Kamala Harris, I have seen the biggest coalition of diversity in thought, in color, in orientation that I've ever seen in our entire landscape. And so we really do have a decision between the most diverse and unifying ticket ever and fascism and tyranny. And I know for a lot of those white guys who are sitting at home fat, eating a pretzel and playing a video game and never having sex with a woman, fascism sounds great because maybe, your rape fantasies can come alive. But that's not where we need to go. And once Kamala wins, I think we seriously need to look at the incel problem we have with men in this country. Because it's a serious issue. This thought of manhood being pushing someone down and restricting their rights, it's gross. And anyone who votes for Donald Trump is a rapist. You're raping our country. You're raping women of their future. And you're raping people of their freedom. And you're condoning the rape that Donald Trump committed against all those women. So just remember, if you voted for Donald Trump, I truly believe you're a rapist. Maybe you should be on a list. It works both ways. See?
Let's watch that new show everyone's been talking about.
Oh, I feel like there's a new sex drama on those streaming services every week. What's this one about?
This one's about some theater guy, except he's a coke dealer and a
Raging sex addict. Like, if he was 10 years older.
So it just came out?
Yeah, you have to start it.
You didn't join any wild Hollywood sex cults, did you?
Stiff intro.
Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's our second episode, so we're getting things going. Don't forget to go get Peter's book, Not Normal, on Amazon, Borders, or whichever place you like to shop for your books. Cool announcement. A new movie that I am working on called Paranormal Salad. The Curse of the Skinwalkers goes into production. We actually start filming on November 1st. So we will not have an episode the first week of November for the Robert Pagan Show. But don't fret, there's actually a premiere of one of our movies, The Last Gasp, The Long Goodbye Part 1. The 5th movie in the Last Gasp series will have a limited premiere here on YouTube before it goes to the major streaming services. I always like to push out my videos on YouTube first for free for friends and family to be able to watch before it goes to the streaming services. So make sure you catch that film before it disappears. And also, without question, next week on the 31st, we will be having a special Halloween episode of the Robert Pagan Show, and I will have a special celebrity guest. So make sure you tune in for that. And all next week is all going to be about spookiness and Halloween. We won't even be talking about politics. So make sure that you are scheduled to watch that. Like, follow, and subscribe. This has been the Robert Pagan Show. Thank you again. And remember, live your life, be happy, and also, your voice matters. So, vote.